Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. So I was happy to hear him get a mention because we know it's in there deep inside. We just have not seen it yet. All right, dude, over there at Texas, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but we have a starting over the weekend, a starting linebacker getting dismissed. The whole beat and some SEC shows who never criticize Arch Manning are now criticizing Arch Manning. You have Steve Sarkisian coming out and saying the offense was essentially just bad. And like he seemed pretty irritated. And then a player's parent threatening to expose Texas for shit going on behind the scenes. Dog, weekends are only 2 days long. That was 4 things happening in a weekend.
It sure feels like there's leaks in this ship. Right? Mm-hmm. If nothing else, it feels like this ship has some leaks. And you got to read between the lines when shit like this is happening. We don't hear anything like this coming out of Ohio State, Bama, Georgia. Like the teams that are actually Oregon. Fuck, I don't even hear this shit out of USC.
And we know they're out of Michigan.
Right. I mean, all I've heard out of Michigan is Bryce Underwood's actually been consistent. Like this time of year, you don't hear shit. Shit like this is not going on. It feels like Texas has a culture issue. It feels like Texas might be fucked.
And are you surprised at all? Because the guy at the top is an excuse-making, crybaby, anxious mess 85% of the time. I'm not surprised that we're getting all this right now anyway. And you know what they say, Zach? When you start to hear this stuff hit the timeline, it's one of two things. Either it's all false, which seems very unlikely in this case, or it's way worse than what you've read, because for stuff to come out, a lot of times, it's like a glacier. Like, this is just the tip of that iceberg, dog. Mm-hmm. Like, there is, like, for it to hit the timeline from 4 different angles feels like, holy shit. And also, we kind of know that Steve Sarkisian doesn't have the greatest track record with cultures. Remember J.E. Hall came here and what that looked like? Mm-hmm. Remember Jonte Cook and what that looked like? Remember it looked like the offensive line at times quit a year ago? Like, sometimes shit looks weird, and we've always chalked it up to just coaching because the talent's all there. What if we coach it up to, are we sure Steve Sarkisian has built a championship culture? Because it feels like whenever something goes wrong, it's everybody else's fault except for Sarks and except for his teams. Well, and when that bleeds in.
And I say it all the time. You can, like, coach speak is awful. Coaches' press conferences are awful because everyone's trying to ask a question to get information, and the coach is not trying to give the information. It's this like chess battle, but you can still tell a lot about a coach just from how he talks, his language, like his body language, his presence, like what he emphasizes. And Sark is a whiny little bitch. Mm-hmm. Whining about the playoffs and playing Ohio State, and that's why they didn't make the playoffs. Like, nah, bitch, you lost to Florida, who fucking stinks. That's why you didn't make it. And I broke the game down. You know why you did? You know why you lost to Florida? Because your O-line was hot ass. But he's not a guy that takes accountability. He's not a tough fucker. He's a whiner and a complainer. It's like, dude, that shit. That you're just telling us what your program is, what your culture and your program is. A bunch of whining and complaining.
One of the things that he said that kind of surprised me, it seemed like he wanted to give Arch a way out, even though like he's the one that kind of told us Arch was not playing very well.
Right.
He said that Arch is really exhausted.
Why?
I wanted to ask you if that. I mean, you talk about fall camp being a long grind.
Hold on, Chris.
You've never mentioned it for quarterbacks, so I'm a little bit confused.
He said that out of his mouth?
Yeah, I'll try to find
that Arch is exhausted.
Yeah,
buddy, it's college football. It's week 3 of training camp. Everybody's fucking exhausted. How does that excuse bad play? You know what else? You know he's going to be exhausted, Chris?
Who?
In the 4th quarter of a fucking playoff game. He's going to be fucking gassed. And he better perform, or else you're going to lose. This is what I mean. He's an excuse-making, whining little bitch. If Texas doesn't make the playoffs again, it'll just confirm what I've said from day one. Sark is not it. He's just not it. I mean, this is the second time he got the number 1 quarterback in the country. And I even saw a guy, whatever the fucking guy's name is, the SEC media personality, saying that he believes Texas, that Arch just needs some more time to adjust. Like, bitch, it's year 4 in the program. Mm-hmm. And Arch is still underwhelming. Maybe that's just who he is. And I just did a show last week where I said, I'm projecting. I expect Arch to take that next step and realize his potential, because after breaking down his film, he has an incredibly high ceiling, but maybe this is just who he is. He's an average-ass quarterback, which I hate to say told you so, but there's one of our biggest micro content clips ever was Arch Manning stinks.
We do have one of the SEC shows that glazed him a year ago kind of talking about Arch Manning in the scrimmage.
Yeah, let's hear what they're saying.
There is some bad breaks coming out here. I'm reading the tea leaves, right? And there's some people that are around this program that aren't particularly excited about where Arch Manning is. Now, you could argue that's what happened last year. Slow start, ended up catching fire at the tail end of the season. Got him a new roster around there. Maybe there's just an acclimation period that we're just not ready to admit, but we're still 2 weeks out. And I feel like if we have trouble after this next scrimmage, then we can kind of hit the brakes and say, oh man, we may have problems in Texas. I'm not there yet. I feel like
what's he getting acclimated to? He's been in the offense for 4 years.
Not him, but you got new wide receivers. You got new running backs. There's a whole bunch of stuff. You can't just plug a player in and say, you know what, everything's going to be fine. There's 11 people on that field at that time, Mike. So his job is to make sure that they're all doing their job. So maybe that's part of it as well. Texas is all right. Texas is fine. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You started so hot, and then you finished with such a dud over here.
No. I feel like that's what we're doing is we're picking on the top, right? I'm surprised we don't do this with other teams in the SEC, but Texas is always under the spotlight, and they always will be while Arch Manning's down there. And I feel like, what does a perfect camp look like? Does he come out here and he throw 4 touchdowns, no picks, and 300 yards against the defense? Then now we're worried about the damn defense, and we're saying Muschamp was a bad hire. So I'm not in that camp.
Shane, have we heard about one quarterback that is a returning starter that is struggling in camp other than Arch?
Returning, well, technically,
I mean, hell, any of them.
Austin
really.
Simmons.
He's not a returning starter.
I mean, he did start
not at Mizzou.
Yeah, I know.
What the fuck did I just watch?
Dude, I got fucking hammered this weekend for my sister's engagement party. That felt like my last 2 brain cells deciding if I was going to go puke upstairs or downstairs.
I just, every time something like that pops up, I'm like, holy shit, do they make money doing this?
Dude,
like,
I watch all of them. I watch all of them, so you don't have to.
I don't, but the guy made my point too. Like, he's been in the program 4 years. You talk about adjusting to receivers? That's what the fucking off season's for. That's why you throw routes on air 2 to 3 times a week all off season in the summer. Like, what do you mean? This is supposed to be a lottery pick quarterback, and he's struggling in training camp. Why? And he said, oh, he turned it on the end of the year last year. The only games he threw over 300 yards were the worst fucking teams in the country. Sam Houston State, Mississippi State, the worst fucking Power 4 team in college football. Vanderbilt, who their defense wasn't their strong suit last year. And then Arkansas, another equally shitty SEC team. Like, when did he turn it on? The 179-yard day against A&M with 1 touchdown? I missed the switch getting flipped. This is where I think SEC media can make people think he flipped the switch. When you watch the film, you're like, the switch is not flipped. Like, he might have made less mistakes, less interceptions, but he didn't take off. He didn't go off, Queen.
No, I agree. It is funny because, like, last week, the chat's pointing out that, like, we did a segment where we kind of played Arch or this quarterback. But I guess my pushback is, it's a projection we were doing, and if we're hearing bad reports over the weekend,
not only that, but in that model, I was coaching him. So which one would I rather have? I would rather have that kid with a crazy high ceiling, and that's what Arch has. But he's so inconsistent. He misses throws, makes some bad decisions. Like, if I'm taking a kid for me to coach, that's very different than, like, which quarterback do I think is going to be better this season, because I'm not coaching them. So it's a totally different conversation.
So this was Sark yesterday. Here's the good from the scrimmage. UT fought through immense heat and still managed to log 120 plays, and the defense showed up ready to go. The bad, the offense turned the ball over 4 more times, It was too sloppy for my liking.
Well, that's not good. They're not on schedule. Luckily, they have 3 weeks to figure it out. 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, Ryan Day and the Buckeyes are landing in Austin, Texas, and it ain't time to figure it out then. You might get fucked up. You got 3 weeks to figure it out.
I can't believe that Arch had a bad scrimmage at this point.
That's where I'm at. This is a kid that's in his 4th year in your program, was the consensus #1 recruit in the country, #1 quarterback, perfect prospect. He's a fucking Eli and Peyton Manning's nephew, and he's your returning starter, started an entire year. Like, why is he struggling? They have him mocked in the top 5 of every mock draft. Why is he struggling right now?
Which I think he should be like considered a first rounder. And I think Friday when we talked about it, it was more like what he could be and should be based on what he was at the end of the year. To me, it's alarming that he's having bad scrimmages at this point. Like, we don't hear anything about Julian Sand having bad scrimmages. In fact, we hear that, maybe it's a little bit too easy. And so like to put adversity, like let's fucking, put in the whole second group of receivers to see if he can do it without Jeremiah Smith. So it is weird hearing how much he struggled. And this was the exact Steve Sarkisian quote on the energy thing, the exhaustion thing. Mm-hmm. He said, if Arch Manning is a little more energized and a little more sharp, he feels like that will trickle down to the rest of the team and yield a better overall Texas football product in the 2 weeks leading up to the season.
This is just the softest shit I fucking ever heard. And it speaks to why his program is not where it should be. I feel like if Arch just had a little more energy, that's like, I feel like if you gave Susie just a little more time on the math test, she could have got it right. It's like, no, bitch, it's training camp. We're going into week 3. You're supposed to be tired. That's where fucking gladiators, true champions, they nut up and make that fucking throw. They pull the ball down and scramble and go dive to get that touchdown. The fuck we talking about? If he had a little more energy, maybe I feel like it could trickle down. Like, you soft pussy.
So
how about Arch drop your fucking nuts?
That was in the talk right after the scrimmage. I think Sark caught on that like these quotes were going to catch fire because people were projecting. Here's the thing: people were projecting Arch to be amazing, myself included. And then this scrimmage happened, and maybe Sark was trying to like knock him down or bring him back to earth, but it just went way too far the other way. And the stuff he was saying was not stuff that was encouraging. Now, this was 5 minutes ago. Well, Arch just had a great camp. I'm really pumped about it. I think his rapport with Ryan Wingo and Cam Coleman and Emmett Mosley is really high. I think his rapport with the running backs is really high. I mean, those guys are good players, and they can all catch the ball. Whatever. So it's funny because, like, you're getting, like, directly after, scrimmage talks, and it's like, this has been bad. And then today, after sleeping on it, it's like, no, he's had a great camp. Let's relax. It's just like I'm riding the roller coaster with Sark. I'm riding it.
You could tell that once the media started being negative on Arch, he felt like he had to come out in support. But the thing about it is, Chris, you can always tell what's real. Like, you listen to Ohio State's post games or post practice media availability, and what do they say? Oh, Julian Sand was making some ridiculous throws. Like, people are commenting on other players. Like, no one's out here saying Arch is just fucking threading needles and dicing our defense up. No one's saying anything like that except Steve Sarkisian that feels bad for his widow quarterback.
It's just like, it's like a complete 180 because, like, by all accounts, they had a really inefficient scrimmage, and it's their second inefficient scrimmage. But the first one, they talked about how hot it was. And when it's really hot, the offense and the receivers maybe at a little bit of a disadvantage, which I don't know how true that is, but that seems to be the cope. But now, we're kind of bringing it back to normal.